Get it for free in the App Store by simply searching Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features, like our live in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Spread the news. St. Lucia is now in HD around the world on the Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Can't take it any longer. Can't take it no more. The people feel so insecure. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't know them a live, love them a live. We gotta make it our business. Our brothers and our sisters, they are being killed. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love them a live, love them a live. We gotta make it our
A special good evening to each and everyone, and welcome to Like It Is for today, 29th September, our final program for this month of September. And we welcome those of you watching on television, those listening on radio, those of you following us on live stream, whether on Facebook, YouTube, or reaching us via the Caribbean Hot 7 app. Welcome to Like It Is, and tonight we're going to have a special guest in our next segment. But we, as we always do, going to start with Like It Is. So with Secret Line and Propaganda, the first segment of Like It Is. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you be prepared that at some point, hopefully we'll be able to open the line so that you too can participate, have your say, and tell it like it is. Once again, a very special welcome to you. I hope you had yourself a great weekend, and here's to a great week, starting off with this program tonight, Like It Is. And we have a packed program for you tonight. And of course, you will not be disappointed, as I will be bringing you a special guest. And that guest, as I advertise, is the United Workers' Party endorsed candidate for Labrie Auger, and that is Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, and she will be joining us later. So let's go right into our first segment, SLP.
You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Why, sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the St. Lucia Labour Party has been and continues to be the party of secrets, lies, and propaganda. There is no exception within their ranks, as it appears to be a prerequisite for qualification to become a part of the Labour government. Ladies and gentlemen, there are those more prominent in that behavior than others, but don't you think for a moment that the others are not just as guilty. Let us listen tonight to a few of them, at least two of them tonight, or three of them tonight. And we're going to start off with Alva Baptiste making some false claims about the economy of St. Lucia. Let's go to clip number 1, please.
We found St. Lucia in the ICU. Hardly had an economic pulse. Can hardly have the strength to pay teachers and public servants in this country. Not too long ago, Shas, they had plunged our country into economic and social crisis. And today, St. Lucia is now strong enough to go to the Olympics and get 2 medals, 1 gold and 1 silver.
Yeah, so we had a George Odlum wannabe, pontificating there, making false claims and being very pretentious. First of all, do not forget, you all took over St. Lucia in the throes of COVID-19. And during that time, the economy of St. Lucia was shut down. So if you all expected the economy to be as usual, then it just says how inept, and uninformed you all are, and, unaware as to what exactly obtains when it comes to running a country and managing an economy. However, let me just say that contrary to what you were saying, that the economy was in ICU and we hardly had the strength to pay teachers and public servants, I want to remind you that even during COVID, okay, even during COVID, when the economy was by and large totally shut down, revenue was at an all-time low, the government of St. Lucia, of course, instigating the public servants to insist on getting their full salary, the government of St. Lucia paid the public servants, teachers and everyone their full salary during that time of COVID. And let us not forget that during that time, you know, it even meant that some of the teachers were not, and public servants were not reporting for work, but yet still they got their full salary. But let's hear another one in the clan, what he too had to say about the economy of St. Lucia. Clip number 2, we'll hear from Kenny Anthony. Yes, and so that was Kenny Anthony. Now you hear Kenny Anthony claiming that he handed Alan Chastanet a robust economy, which of course was far, far from the truth. Now let me not tell you that that was not the truth. Let me let you listen to Kenny Anthony himself. And this one is a little embarrassing because, you know, sometimes people forget what they say and they come back and contradict themselves. So let's listen to Kenny Anthony in clip number 3, what exactly he had to say about the situation.
Something happened that made the situation different, and it is the first time St. Lucia has experienced this. This time around, we could not borrow to finance the deficit. That is the crux of your problem. St. Lucia could have gone along its merry way for the next couple of years very easily if it could borrow money to pay for the deficit. It would have put us in more trouble down the road.
Down the road, yes, later on.
And certainly we would have collapsed. But we would have bought time, but we can't now because, generally speaking, institutions in the region are unwilling to lend government.
So, as Kenny telling us what the state of the economy was under his watch, the watch of the St. Lucia Labour Party, and that exactly is what Alan Chastanet inherited. So let's have Alan Chastanet set the record straight as to what exactly the reality was. Let us hear from Alan Chastanet as he tells it to us in clip number 4.
It's going to take me 3 years to get the finances of this country fixed. $1 billion of bonds have to do this year. I mean, I don't know if people truly understand the impact of that on being able to manage your money on a daily basis, because if those bonds don't renew, there is no sinking fund. You've heard the former government talk about there's no need for sinking funds. The sinking fund is to give you the latitude that if something goes wrong, that you can still run. If I don't get a bond turnover, that money comes out of my cash flow. And that cash flow means that something has to pay the price. Somebody is not going to get paid. Some project is not going to happen. So our goal is to restructure this country, fix up the physical infrastructure, fix up the human infrastructure, and change the financings of this country so that we have access to affordable resources. It's when we have those things in place that the country now will be in a position to grow. So when you look back historically as to why is it the country grows 1 year and then comes back down and goes negative, it's because the capacity for it to grow on a consistent basis isn't there.
Yeah, so despite the SLP's deceit, we all know that at the time, not only was Alan Chastanet able to pay teachers and public servants, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, while the economy was practically shut down, that while our government during that time, our government negotiated as well with the banks and financial institutions to place a moratorium on the payment of loans so that even those public servants, teachers and what have you, got some reprieve. though they were not coming to work full time, and yet still they were getting a full salary. And that, of course, we felt was important because in many cases, if there were other breadwinners in the household, they would have been laid off because the private sector, you know, laid off their workers, people were out of work, and very often it was the public servant who would be the only breadwinner in the house. And so we felt it was important that we continued to provide that source of income for the households, especially in cases where only one breadwinner was a public servant. So, you know, this is the thing about it. You have to expose them from time to time for their deceit, their bluff, their lies, you know, their open dishonesty. You know, I also want to expose those who accuse others of politicizing crime. And that is something you hear quite often. They do not want to take the responsibility that is theirs. And before I go further, let me repeat for the umpteenth time that the primary responsibility of any government is the safety and security of its citizens. Because without a safe and well-protected society, well, you call it, it's a lost cause. You do not have a civilized society, you do not have an economy, health doesn't matter, nothing makes sense, nothing matters, nothing counts. And so that is one of the primary responsibilities of any government. And a government has to take that responsibility, has to face that responsibility. Do not shirk that responsibility by saying to people who are calling on you to uphold that responsibility that they are politicizing crime. Because at the end of the day, you did no differently when you were in opposition. You used to call on those responsible, as we will see in the clips that are following. So let's first listen to a clip from the self-righteous Philip J. Pierre. And let's not forget, he's the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, who appointed himself as Minister of National Security. Needless to say, I don't have to tell you, his record has been the most dismal in history. And that is borne out by the kind of statistics that we have seen in the last 4 years, consecutive records in homicide being set year after year under the watch of Philip J. Pierre. And, you know, according to him, he never blamed any particular minister of government for crime. But let's listen to clip number 5 and hear Philip J. Pierre, the self-righteous.
The crime, and that is why you never hear us say, you never hear us blame any particular minister or government for crime. But that is not what was done to us. Fact is, when you were in government, any crime that happened, they used to say it's Kenny or Pierre.
Now, you just heard the self-righteous Philip J. Pierre. He never blamed anybody. People blame him, but he never blames anyone. I want you to take a listen to the next clip, and in the next clip, what you will hear is the same Philip J. Pierre himself, okay, lambasting Guy Mayers, who was then the Minister of National Security. Now, hear what he has to say, and bear in mind what his current record is. Of course, at the end, you will be able to judge for yourself. Let's watch clip number 6, please.
The first time in the history of St. Lucia, there has been a jailbreak, and you have never found a prisoner who has gone to jail under Myers as Minister of National Security. Under Myers as Minister of National Security, is the first time a magistrate was attacked for doing a job as a magistrate under Myers as Minister of National Security. Under Myers as Minister of National Security, there was a triple murder in one weekend, and more people got murdered in St. Lucia under Myers as Minister of National Security than any time in the history of St. Lucia. Under Myers as Minister of National Security, did a UWP operative attack a policeman who was doing his job in giving Frederick a ticket. That happened under Myers as Minister of National Security. What did he do? That is Myers' record.
Yeah, so you heard the self-righteous Philip J. Pierre, you know, attacking Myers because in a weekend there was a triple murder. That's a joke these days, my friend. People don't talk about that. That is so, I mean, that is topped so frequently that is not even a subject of discussion. So what you thought then was off the charts and outrageous, under you, far worse is happening. You talk about UWP operative, interfering with the police while he was trying to give Richard Frederick a ticket, and that was a big thing to you, But let me just say to you, if you were to compare Guy Mayer's record as Minister of National Security, it would be platinum compared to yours. That would be straw. And that is the reality. But I have one more clip where you hear another one of them, this time Alva Baptiste. I notice if you study Alva Baptiste closely, he seemed to be a little under the radar, but he is one of those peddling a lot of, propaganda, a lot of lies as well. He's no different to the rest. And, but on this occasion, he says something that, when carefully examined, is very, very applicable to what is taking place now. Let's listen and watch clip number 7. Listen to Alva Baptiste.
Attitude of this government, my brothers and my sisters, political stability. As a result of all the foolishness of this government, St. Lucia is fast becoming a place where they cannot govern anymore. There is lawlessness that we have never seen before in this country. And you see the situation with crime. And I agree, the Labour Party always said, do not politicize crime. But the tone set by a government can influence the direction of criminal activity in the country. If you have a lawless government, then they have set the stage for lawlessness. And it is not surprising that we have found ourselves into that unprecedented fire of lawlessness. And the government is virtually impotent in dealing with the crime situation in this country.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, well said, Alva Baptiste. No truer words have ever been spoken by you. And when we consider what is happening with the government that you are a part of today, when we consider the state of crime in this country today, when you consider the rate of homicides, the number of murders that we have year after year for the last 4 years up to today, it could not have been better said. Your words were very apropos to what is going on in St. Lucia under the St. Lucia Labour Party. So, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to expose the SLP government week after week for the secrets, lies, and propaganda that they peddle. The people who have deceived you, betrayed your trust, and believe that they can fool you all the time, the St. Lucia Labour Party. That was a segment on secret, lies, and propaganda, what typifies the St. Lucia Labour Party.
You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Why, sir?
The views of the host of this program is independent of Hot 7 TV, Kiss FM, and Hot FM Communications Limited.
St. Lucia, Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's another first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You heard right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, watch us on your cell phone or tablet via the Caribbean Hot FM app. Trusted objective journalism from our diligent news team. Get it fresh, get it hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News, now at 7:15. Watch us on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV.
Did you know that while you're busy with your day, important news is breaking all around you? From politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news. Hot 7 TV keeps you informed with news every hour on the hour. Don't wait to hear it secondhand. Stay ahead. Stay informed with Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. News notes on the hour. Stay updated wherever you are. Catch Hot 7 TV St. Lucia's news every hour on the air, on our mobile app, and on our website. Now you can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, and Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go. Whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our four corners of the globe. Our record-breaking app has already been downloaded over 500,000 times on Google Play and the Apple App Store. To bring you the best in HD sound, we've relaunched a brand new app. Get it for free in the App Store by simply searching Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features, like our live in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Spread the news. St. Lucia is now in HD around the world on the Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected.
Looking for the best way to advertise? Stop searching. Hot 7 TV gives you more reach, more impact, and more value. Get your business in front of the right audience and watch your sales soar. Don't miss out. Call 452-6040 today and take advantage of our exclusive advertising packages. Hot 7 TV, smart advertising for smart businesses.
St. Lucia, Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's another first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You heard right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, watch us on your cell phone or tablet via the Caribbean Hot FM app. Trusted objective journalism from our diligent news team. Get it fresh, get it hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News, now at 7:15. Watch us on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV.
Now you can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, and Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go. Whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our four corners of the globe. Our record-breaking app has already been downloaded over 500,000 times on Google Play and the Apple App Store. To bring you the best in HD sound, we've relaunched a brand new app. Get it for free in the App Store by simply searching Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features, like our live in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Spread the news. St. Lucia is now in HD around the world on the Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected. Did you know that while you're busy with your day, important news is breaking all around you? From politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news. Hot 7 TV keeps you informed with news every hour on the hour. Don't wait to hear it secondhand. Stay ahead. Stay informed with Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. News notes on the hour. Stay updated wherever you are. Catch Hot 7 TV St. Lucia's news every hour on the air, on our mobile app, and on our website.
St. Lucia, Hot 7 TV was the first to bring you a full HD newscast. Now, here's another first. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now your first newscast for the evening in St. Lucia. You heard right. The Hot 7 Nightly News is now at 7:15. Yes, tune in at 6:45 p.m. and be the first to catch the latest happenings in your world. On the run, watch us on your cell phone or tablet via the Caribbean Hot FM app. Trusted objective journalism from our diligent news team. Get it fresh, get it hot. The Hot 7 Nightly News, now at 7:15. Watch us on channel 117 on Flow, channel 7 Plug and Play, or follow us on Facebook Live on Caribbean Hot 7 TV.
while you're busy with your day, important news is breaking all around you, from politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news. Hot 7 TV keeps you informed with news every hour on the hour. Don't wait to hear it secondhand. Stay ahead. Stay informed with Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. News notes on the hour. Stay updated wherever you are. Catch Hot 7 TV St. Lucia's news every hour on the air, on our mobile app, and on our website. Now you can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, and Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go, whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our four corners of the globe. Our record-breaking app has already been downloaded over 500,000 times on Google Play and the Apple App Store. To bring you the best in HD sound, we've relaunched a brand new app. Get it for free in the App Store by simply searching Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features, like our live in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Spread the news. St. Lucia is now in HD around the world on the Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected.
Looking for the best way to advertise? Stop searching. Hot 7 TV gives you more reach, more impact, and more value. Get your business in front of the right audience and watch your sales soar. Don't miss out. Call 452-6040 today and take advantage of our exclusive advertising packages. Hot 7 TV, smart advertising for smart businesses.
Can't take it any longer. Can't take it no more. The people feel so insecure. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our business. Our brothers and our sisters, they are being killed. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our
Yes, welcome back to all our viewers and listeners, whether you're following us on Hot 7 TV, listening to us on Kiss FM, following on live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or following us via the Caribbean Hot 7 app. Welcome again, welcome back to Like It Is. And tonight we're into our second segment, and like I told you, later on we'll be bringing to you our special guest, who is Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, the endorsed candidate for the United Workers' Party for the constituency of Labrie-Auger. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, let us just reflect a little on the last week. As a matter of fact, let's focus on yesterday, a very eventful day politically here in St. Lucia. As you know, yesterday we had the launch of the SLP candidate Danny Butcher in the constituency of Beaufort South. And of course, Dr. Anthony was on hand to give his endorsement and, according to him, to pass the baton to Danny Butcher. But, you know, I couldn't help but have flashbacks on previous political baton passes that have somehow resulted in betrayals. And Stephenson King comes to mind immediately. You know, we remember Stephenson King received the baton, that is Compton's baton, to become Prime Minister of St. Lucia upon Sir John's death, and then turning around to shaft the Compton family. Of course, if those of you who remember, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We remember that upon assuming the role of Prime Minister, Stephenson King refused to provide Janine Compton, Sir John's daughter, a place in his cabinet. We also can think of Dr. Kenny Anthony himself. You know, he had to pass on the baton of the Labour Party's leadership, and that baton was passed on to Philippe J. Pierre, who is now the current Prime Minister. But again, we all witness Philippe J. Pierre shafting Kenny Anthony to embrace Richard Frederick, despite knowing how Kenny feels about Richard Frederick. You know, Philippe J. Pierre brought Frederick into his cabinet, forcing Dr. Anthony out to pasture and causing him, through the abandonment, to be out in the cold, ending his long political career as a backbencher. You know, and all of this happened while Philippe J. Pierre had Richard Frederick in his embrace, enjoying the pooch of a right-hand man, and Dr. Anthony out there even lamenting more than opposition parliamentarians about the neglect for him and his constituency. The thoughts of those girls, I must confess, were conjured by what I saw on stage last night. Now, before I go any further, I talk about what I saw on stage last night. Let us watch clip number 8, and you know, where Kenny Anthony was actually receiving Danny Butcher, so-called passing on the baton to him. And let us first watch before I comment on what gave rise to my thoughts. Clip number 8.
People smile when they want me to frown. Keep the vibes and I stood my ground. They will never ever take my crown. Oh, Jah bless, I say no.
Yes, I found it quite ironic, ladies and gentlemen, that Danny Butcher chose Richard Frederick's theme song, Solid as a Rock, by Sizzler. Many of you know the song as Can't Keep a Good Man Down. That was the choice of song that Danny Butcher had last night while Dr. Anthony was in fact passing the baton on to him. It forced me to wonder whether Dr. Anthony is about to be shafted once again, this time by Danny, to fit in snugly with the boys. That is, Danny shafting Dr. Anthony so that he could fit in snugly in the new company of Philip J. Pierre and Richard Frederick. You know, after all, the legacy handed down by Kenny didn't exactly provide Danny a leg to stand on. And so, perhaps Danny has good reason to already begin distancing himself and linking himself with new company, so much so that he has even adopted Richard Frederick's theme song. That is interesting. But talking about the handing over, let's listen to Dr. Anthony announcing his passing of the baton to Danny Butcher.
The office of parliamentary representative is not the private property of the incumbent parliamentarian. It is not owned by the incumbent. It does not belong to me. It does not belong to the parliamentary representative to gift to another. The incumbent merely holds a position in trust for those whom he or she represents. To paraphrase a regional Chief Justice who recently announced his retirement, but in a different context, an incumbent holds, quote, a sacred baton in trust for one's successors. A parliamentary representative is nothing more than a single runner in a never-ending relay. And as the Chief Justice said, the baton must be passed at some time. I am here to pass the baton to Danny Butcher, the successor chosen by the St. Lucia Labour Party. So he too can complete the next leg.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know, Dr. Anthony talking about passing the baton on to Danny Butcher, you know, with my background in track and field, having run a few relays and coached a few athletes in a few relays myself, I questioned the propriety of that analogy by Dr. Anthony. Honestly, I did. Because if examined, Dr. Anthony's political history has its fair share of scandals. And those of you who have short memories, let me just give you a couple of examples. Rochamel, ring a bell? Grindberg, NCA, just to name a few. You know, we know too that after 28 years, almost 3 decades of unbroken representation for Vieux Fort South, the South remained largely underdeveloped with hardly anything substantial to show, despite the fact that 15 of Dr. Anthony's 28 unbroken years as a parliamentary rep, 15 of those years, he was Prime Minister and Minister of Finance in this country. In fact, it appears that Dr. Anthony's leadership of 28 years yielded a crime-infested society that is in a state of decadence to the extent that his successor, Philip J. Pierre, labeled it an escalated crime zone. While I do appreciate that the baton must be passed on within a changing zone, at least that's what we do in track and field, giving that baton to Danny Butcher in an escalated crime zone gives me the impression that it is unlikely that Danny Butcher will qualify to make good on that baton pass, especially being a Dr. Anthony's protege. What we are likely to experience is more of the same and a continuation of a bad run in Vieux Fort South. I say all of this to warn the people of Vieux Fort South. Be careful. Be careful what you bargain for. You have had an experience with Dr. Anthony. What do you have to show for it? Like I said, Dr. Anthony's legacy did not even provide Danny Butcher a leg to stand on. And furthermore, Danny Butcher, I notice, is a smart young man. We already see that he seemed to be going in the direction of the Richard Fredericks and Philip J. Pierce. In other words, he's already betraying Dr. Anthony even before he received the baton. I listened to his presentation, and I will not go through it right now, but he gave one long list, a litany of projects, programs, and things that he plans to do for Vieux Fort South. I asked myself, was he inheriting a constituency that Columbus had just discovered? And when I listen to the things that he's saying that he has to do for Vieux Fort as parliamentary representative, I ask myself, how come after 28 years of representation under your mentor, Vieux Fort does not have those projects and programs in place? And after even more years of representation, perhaps over close to 40 years of representation by the St. Lucia Labour Party, Vieux Fort is left wanting. So much so that Danny Butcher could find such a long list of things that are necessary to be done in Vieux Fort. Danny is just an ordinary candidate. If Dr. Anthony, as Prime Minister for 3 terms, could not have made a dent, it is clear that it is a Labour Party disposition toward the South that is on display. Philip J. Pierre, if the Labour Party were to win, God forbid, would be the Prime Minister. He has been the Prime Minister going to 5 years now. What has he done for the South? What makes you believe that Danny Butcher will make any difference? Ladies and gentlemen of the South, we have to break the trend. And the trend can only be broken by voting for a United Workers' Party candidate in the person of Liana Johannes Lady Lee. I say so because Alan Chasney, who represents a southern constituency as well, will be the Prime Minister. And we know all too well all the grand ideas and plans that Alan Chasney and the United Workers' Party has for the south of the country. He had already begun of course, robbed of 2 years by COVID, prevented some things from taking place. But you had seen, when it came to unemployment, we had the call centers employing hundreds of people. We had already started the DSH project. We had started a brand new modern hospital, which the Labour Party government doesn't think you deserve, so they went back to an 80-year-old building that was not designed in the first place to be a hospital. We would have completed that hospital within 18 months and with just about $60 million. But after over 4 years, going to 5 years, and over $260 million, the St. Lucia Labour Party cannot open that hospital as yet. Okay. And let us not forget that out of the 16 years since that hospital was burnt, Labour has presided over at least 11 of those years, okay, working on the old hospital, and they cannot complete it as yet. So whenever that hospital is completed, do not come and make any song and dance as if it is some great achievement. You have wasted the people's time, you have denied and deprived the people of proper care for years, and you have squandered millions upon millions of dollars only at the end for the people not to have a state-of-the-art hospital, but instead to have an 80-year-old building that was never designed in the first place to be a hospital. Okay? So, people of the South, don't waste your time any longer. I think the message is clear, the writing is on the wall. Labour Party does not like you in the South, despite the loyalty that you have shown them. And if you think Philip Pierre is any difference, all you can talk of that he has done for you is to place a label on you as an escalated crime zone. Not that your area has any more crime than we find in Marcia. If you were to count, go to the statistics and count how many murders you have had in Beaufort, compared to how many murders we have had in Castries and Marcia and Castries East, there would be more murders up here. But it is not called an escalated crime zone. But if you think that's what you deserve, continue to vote for those people. But if you want better, and you realize that you deserve better, you have an option, and that is the United Workers' Party under Alan Chastanet, who will do a lot more for you, the people of the South. Now, before I move on, let me just talk of the normal Sunday Live that the United Workers' Party had. I spoke of the launching of the UWP, of the SLP. It is only fair that I speak a little about the Sunday Live, and this time it was held in Castries East, in the Bokar School to be precise. And of course, as always, as usual, we had a very good Sunday Live, or some people call it Flambeau Live. You know, I will not go into any details as such, but I just want to highlight a couple of the clips so that you can get an idea, those of you who didn't get to attend or to watch, get an idea of what transpired at the Flambeau Live. So let's watch the first clip from the Flambeau Live.
Richard Frederick is not good enough for United Workers' Party. We fired him a long time ago. Richard Frederick is not good enough for Labour. For 5 years, they cannot even now accept him in their party. He's not good for UWP, he's not good for Labour, he's not good for Castries Central. So, Rosh, we will bring that seat home.
Yes, very instructive. You know, I thought it was only Beaufort that Philip Pierre held in spite, or had spite for the people of those constituencies. But, you know, think about it, Castries Central. UWP does not want the guy. They fired him from their ranks. SLP does not want the guy. They refuse to approve his application for membership for going to 5 years now. But Philip J. Pierre thinks that he is good enough for you in Castries Central and is good enough to be a member of our cabinet in this country. Well, we have to reject that outright Because like Sarah said, and I fully agree, if he's not good enough for UWP, he's not good enough for St. Lucia Labour Party, he's not good enough for Castries Central, nor is he good enough to be in the government of St. Lucia. So that is an individual that must be gotten rid of. Another clip just to highlight, at least one more clip just to highlight what transpired last night before I end the segment.
I have deep admiration for Rush. I have deep admiration for young Rush. You know, and I call you, you are the David of this squad, my brother. And we all know what David did. You know, I will tell you something. You know, Goliath was taunting the children of Israel for 40 days, 30 or 40 days. Every morning he came up and was taunting them. Yeah. We have another Goliath down the road there. Every Thursday night, taunting the people of St. Lucia. But I know young Rush, young David, you have the 5 stones, my brother. Integrity, honesty, courage, love, compassion. You will destroy him, my brother. Don't worry. That slingshot ready, my brother. That slingshot ready.
Placed in a position to be the country's commander-in-chief. And it has been an embarrassment. I want you to do something. Stand up. Look Richard Frederick in the eye. I'm not sure which eye, but just in case, pick the right one. Pick the right one. Pick the right one. Pick the right one. I want you to stand up. I'm serious, you know. I want you to stand up and look Richard Frederick in the eye and tell him, you can wear the color, but you cannot be a member.
Yes, that is the soldier who will vanquish Richard Frederick. Young David of the United Workers' Party, Rush Clark. He will be the next parliamentary representative of Castries Central, a far more honorable individual than what passes for an honorable representative right now. And I endorse that statement wholeheartedly by Tommy Descott that Rush will be the one to bring down Richard Frederick. Now, I just want to mention one or two things before we end this segment here. You know, because the Labour Party, realizing that they have failed the people of St. Lucia in so many ways, they have abused, exploited, extorted the people of St. Lucia in so many ways. Now that an election is approaching, they are playing nice guys, Santa Claus bearing gifts, trying to fool the people, trying to buy out their votes, and hoping that they would have forgotten what was done to them throughout the last 4 years with the little gifts that you come in with there now. People can see through that. We know that is election gimmick, and as soon as election is over, you will go back to your old ways, putting people under suffering. In other words, raising the cost of living and telling them you can do nothing about it because it's imported, keeping the prices of gas artificially high, causing hardship to people, and further exacerbating the inflation that takes place in St. Lucia, keeping the price of bread as high as it is rather than subsidizing flour to the extent that we could maintain the price where it was, and so on. But you know, the office of the Prime Minister is preparing to make a big song and dance and make a big announcement that they will make more than 1,900 wage workers permanent as part of the election campaign gimmick. Now, yeah, on the surface, that is, and I'm happy for the temporary workers who will be made permanent because, of course, as they themselves are claiming, that will give the people the power to negotiate loans, to get higher purchase and what have you. And that is more stability in their life. But really and truly, are you doing them a favor? Let us not forget, while the UWP was in office, okay, we had those people on permanent establishment. You, the St. Lucia Labour Party, under Kenny Anthony came and gave them 1 and 2 year contracts. You were the ones in the first place who put them in that temporary position that they are in today. So if you're going to correct one of the many wrongs that you did, do not come with your song and dance and make it sound as if you're doing them a favor, okay? You're just giving back to them what is rightfully theirs. And I don't think they should trust you, because what you implemented was your true policy, policies that are in your likeness. And if you are to return, God knows for how long they will remain permanent. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are public servants on a temporary, not on permanent establishment, accept the permanent establishment, because that's where you were in the first place, that's where you ought to be, that's where you're supposed to be. So it's not any favor that they're doing you. They found you there and they took it away from you. I also want to mention, things they talk about transport subsidy and so on. Again, you all are the ones who took it away at one time, denying parents of that buffer where they didn't have to find transport money for their children, and providing students with the opportunity to get to school even if they did not have, or their parents did not have the money to get them to school. And that too was a United Workers Party program that you interfered with in the first place. And now you want to boast about it as if, it is a creation of the St. Lucia Labour Party. No, it's not. Let me remind you too, that temporary teachers used to receive their salaries even during the August vacation. Again, the St. Lucia Labour Party came and took it away from them. Now, because an election is coming, and you know your fortunes are slim. And I say so, I say you know it because I've heard Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister, admit in the House of Assembly that they reckon even though their fortunes or to win the election are dwindling. He said so, his words. Okay, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but that's what he said. Your fortunes are dwindling. So you'll recognize that you're losing in the next election, so you'll come in for all those gimmicks. People are seeing right through it. They will take it. They will accept it. Okay, but they will turn around and tell you all, when the day comes, too little, too late. So even when you come with raw cash and try to provide people outright cash in their hands, trying to buy their votes, my advice to St. Lucia is take their money, eat them out, drink them out, and vote them out. That is the remedy for imposters like those who are in government, who neglected you, forgot you for the past 4 years, and only now playing like they care about you. The job is not a 1 year job, it is a 5-year term. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you to stay tuned, because as soon as we return, we're going to return shortly. As soon as we return, I will bring in on my guests. And so, hopefully, we will have an opportunity for you to interact with my guests towards the end of the program as well. So, please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Did you know that while you're busy with your day, important news is breaking all around you? From politics to weather updates, community stories, and breaking news. Hot 7 TV keeps you informed with news every hour on the hour. Don't wait to hear it secondhand. Stay ahead. Stay informed with Hot 7 TV St. Lucia. News notes on the hour. Stay updated wherever you are. Catch Hot 7 TV St. Lucia's news every hour on the air, on our mobile app, and on our website. Now you can take Hot FM, Kiss FM, and Hot 7 TV with you wherever you go. Whether you're in St. Lucia or exploring our 4 corners of the globe. Our record-breaking app has already been downloaded over 500,000 times on Google Play and the Apple App Store. To bring you the best in HD sound, we've relaunched a brand new app. Get it for free in the App Store by simply searching Caribbean Hot FM HD. Listen to us in real time, anywhere, any place, anytime. We've added so many cool new features, like our live in-studio option, where you can see your favorite announcers and DJs at work. So download the app today. It's free. Spread the news. St. Lucia is now in HD around the world on the Hot FM app. Don't miss out. Join the fun and stay connected.
Looking for the best way to advertise? Stop searching. Hot 7 TV gives you more reach, more impact, and more value. Get your business in front of the right audience and watch your sales soar. Don't miss out. Call 452-6040 today and take advantage of our exclusive advertising packages. Hot 7 TV, smart advertising for smart businesses.
Can't take it any longer. Can't take it no more. The people feel so insecure. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our business. Our brothers and our sisters, they are being killed. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Like It Is. And as I promised you this evening, we have a special guest in studio with us, and that is Mrs. Laura Jean-Pierre Noel, the endorsed candidate for the United Workers' Party for the constituency of Labrie-Auger. Welcome to Like It Is.
Thank you for having me. Finally, I'm here.
Yeah, I think it's your first time here on Like It Is?
Very first time, Like It Is.
All right, and we certainly will be looking forward to you being here on occasions to come as the campaign heightens and so on. But let me just say welcome, and let me just put you at home right now by giving you the house rules. All you have to do is tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is.
All right.
I think I can manage that.
Okay. So, Laura, you are now the endorsed candidate for Labrie-Auger.
Yes.
And this is, for all intents and purposes, a tough seat for the United Workers' Party. I don't think the United Workers' Party has ever won that seat before.
Never won the seat since we have become an independent district, because prior to being a district on our own, we voted with Vieux Fort. And so when Vieux Fort would have voted United Workers' Party in the past, we would have been a part of that. But since being an independent constituency, we have never, but that's not the only first, we have never had a woman vie for the constituency either.
Even vie?
Yeah. So I would be the first woman for the United Workers' Party. And I think both for the United Workers' Party and for the St. Lucia Labour Party. So it's a first for the constituency.
Okay. So what made you, first of all, jump into the political arena, and in particular in a seat like Labrie?
Well, I think it was destiny, to be honest, because ever since I remember myself, I know myself, I've always been interested in politics. So even as a young child, I would enter conversations whenever there's elections around the corner, and I would join in. I always hung out with older people, so whenever they would be having political conversations, I would be part of the fray. I think I want to say I took it from my mother, but I think my father was just as equally involved in local politics. So I got it somewhere, but I think out of my parents' 4 children, I'm the only one who is as involved. And I've always been told, as a young child, you'll be a politician, you'll be, and I'm like, the way I see things going on, I'm not interested. But it's a natural evolution, I think, until I just couldn't sit on the sidelines any longer and see the neglect of our constituency. So.
Well, we know that women are disproportionately outnumbered in St. Lucian politics, and like you just disclosed, you're the first woman to even contest an election in Labrie. How have you found it so far as a candidate, as a woman, being in the politics in Labrie?
I must say it's not what I expected. I expected more vitriol. I expected more méprisé. I expected more because as a young woman growing up, this is what I saw in Labrie. I think the constituents have mellowed down a lot. I want to say that they have mellowed down a lot. I don't want to think it's because it's me, because I do get some pushback from hardcore Labour Party supporters. I do get pushback, but I think because I am so prominent in the constituency, I do have a lot of friends who are Labour just as much as I have who are Flubbo, and I do get support from either side of the fence. So it's not that bad. I think I get more pushback from maybe the OJ side, where the people don't really know me as much. Although in the past 4 to 6 weeks that has changed a lot, being consistently in the constituency, in that part of the constituency, I think the people are getting more used to seeing me around and speaking with me and recognizing me and feeling more comfortable with me. Even when I get those persons who, you know, hard and fast, it's not for very long. It's not like, you know, get out of here or whatever. Maybe a handful of persons I come across like that. But by and large, it's been a wonderful experience. I quite enjoy it because it's one of the, I enjoy interacting with people and finding out what their needs are and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a good experience so far.
I also want to ask you, I mean, we talk about the United Workers' Party not having previously represented the constituency of Labrie-Auger. But why did you choose the United Workers' Party? Because, I mean, there are two major parties. There's the option of independent. You chose the United Workers' Party. Any particular reason for that?
I think there's very distinct behavior patterns from St. Lucia Labour Party persons and United Workers' Party. I come from a family, both of my parents did not come from affluence. They did not come from middle income either. Their parents were both farmers and working the soil, and, you know, coming from that background, my parents determined that their children would not have had it as hard as they did. So they worked hard. And I think that marks the difference. And I'm throwing no shade. It's just my experience that marks the difference between the St. Lucia Labour Party supporter and a United Workers' Party supporter. Whereas the United Workers' Party supporter is a worker and would work to attain, I find by and large, the St. Lucia Labour Party, their very ethos is more to coddle and to hand things to people as opposed to teaching you how to earn and to get what you need. And so that marked the difference for me. And I just generally gravitated towards that, working hard for anything that you wanted. And so I think that's why I chose the United Workers' Party. I've always been asked why I chose to represent Labrie. It is the place of my birth, it's the place of my parents' birth and my grandparents before them. And I just could not imagine, I couldn't perhaps run anywhere, because I tell people all the time, if it were for all of St. Lucia voting for all of the 17 constituents, all of the 17 candidates, I think I would have won easily, because I think I have a fantastic national presence. But I just couldn't imagine representing any other constituency but Labrie. There's just something particular and specific to Labrie that just has my heart. And no matter what the outcome, it will always have my heart, and I will always want to work for the people of Labrie and Auger.
But we know, Laura, that, well, not just St. Lucian politics, but Caribbean politics, based politics. By that I mean, to a very great extent, the leader has great influence even on what happens in constituencies outside of the constituency he or she is contesting. And Alan Chastanet is the leader of your party. What is your view of Alan as a political leader? I mean, we have had the opportunity of seeing him in government for a term. He has been leading the United Workers' Party now for almost 10 years, or more than 10 years rather. What is your assessment of Alan Chastney?
I must say, when I first met Alan, I think it was 2013, I had my reservations. Obviously, I didn't know the man. I only knew of the man. And you would appreciate that a lot of what was said about the man was not necessarily great, but I had had an opportunity to observe him while he was doing in his various capacities. But when it came to the nitty-gritty of it and wanting to represent and wanting to lead the party of which I was leaning towards, I had my reservations, as with anybody else. Anybody who would be coming in and saying they wanted to represent or they wanted to lead the party, I would have my reservations, I would have my questions. But having worked with Alan and observing him in the field and seeing what he represents and what he wants to bring to the table, I think at this point, I don't think that there is a better person to lead the party. Now, I know there are going to be people out there who are going to be like, oh, but you and Alan had your ding-dongs in the past. And yes, it's true. And I think that is why I can work with Alan, because we did have our disagreements in the past. But look at where we are today. You know, yeah, we're not at loggerheads with each other. We are able to work with each other, and we are able to work through those differences and to make the relationship stronger.
The questions you had about him have been answered.
Absolutely, okay. Absolutely. I have no doubt in my mind that he is the best person to lead the party that we have right now.
I am speaking to you now. The next question is an outsider speaking to you. I'm from the north of St. Lucia, the northernmost tip grocery. And I'm saying, from an outsider's point of view, our leaders in recent times, Dr. Kenny Anthony, currently Philip J. Pierre, has not been very kind to you all in the South. And I say that with no reservation.
No,
do you see a difference as a Southerner? Do you see a difference with Alan Chastney?
Let's put it this way. In 1996, 1997, leading to Dr. Anthony's emergence as Prime Minister of St. Lucia, I resided outside of St. Lucia. And when Dr. Anthony came in and talking about the new frontier and plans for the South, I was very excited, despite not having any leanings towards the St. Lucia Liberal Party. So I felt that was refreshing. I thought it was, oh, happy day. Finally, somebody's going to look at the South with any seriousness. And I'm talking about dead South.
Okay, but 28 years later,
yeah.
Promise.
So I didn't even have to wait 28 years by then. 5 years later, when I came back home, not even 5 years, but when I did come back home, I was still very excited because I thought, coming back as a new graduate, I would be able to work in the South. I'd be able to get employment in the South. I'd be able to build my life, continue to live my life in the South. And that wasn't the case. I ended up spending 20 years living and working in the north of the island because I couldn't get employment in the south of the island. Fast forward to 2016, leading up to 2021, the plans that Alan Chastney had COVID not hit us, the excitement that I felt for that, the disappointment that came because we were not able to recognize that, it was palpable. And I still believe that if we continue with those plans, tweak it as we go along and make it work, then I can see that anybody coming from the South will no longer have to say, okay, because when I came back to St. Lucia, I couldn't say, I didn't write my address as from the South because I found whenever I wrote my address in Laborie, I wouldn't get offered the opportunities in Castries because remember, I couldn't get a job in Vieux Fort, so I had to search elsewhere. And the opportunities didn't come as easily and as readily with my address as Laborie as when it was Castries. And I think we will see that not happening ever again with Alan Michael as our leader and the United Workers' Party at the helm of this country.
Well, Laura, I've been around a few days longer than you have. So let me just tell you from a historical point of view, John Compton led St. Lucia. In total, I think he was Prime Minister for about 30 years. You are more intimately familiar with what goes on in the South than I am, but I can tell you, as far as I know, everything of consequence that exists in the South today, your ports, seaport, airport, your the hospital,
absolutely everything,
the water supply, everything was actually put in place by the United Workers' Party. You have a guy who was prime minister from the South, at least half the time he was prime minister for 15 years, and he was representative for almost 30 years. We talk about legacy. I spoke earlier in the program about his legacy, what he did for Beaufort. And I think it is dismal, to say the least. And then you have Philip J. Pierre, who seemed to be following in the same pattern. And you have Danny Butcher, I'm being told, is a protege of Kenny Anthony, so we don't expect anything new, anything different. But what are the things you expect from Alan Chastanet? I mean, and you I'm hoping to represent Labrie, quite apart from what will happen in Labrie, which we come into in a while. A lot of what happens in Beaufort, which is the main town in the South, will affect Labrie as well.
Absolutely.
So what are the plans that the UWP have for the South when it comes to development, infrastructure, and so on?
Well,
excuse me.
Let's put it this way. Alan Chastanet has unveiled his seven from heaven. We like to call it the seven from heaven.
Seven from heaven.
The seven from heaven.
Yeah.
And I think
Is
that...
there anything in it for the South?
Absolutely, almost everything, almost everything, and I'm hoping that now the seven from heaven that I really like is the one about water, and the reason why water is so near and dear to me is because in my private life, I own a company and we deal with water, right? Water is not a privilege, water is a right, is a necessity, right? And in 2025. A stone's throw away from my parents' home are residents who do not have potable water. And when I say potable water, I mean pipe-borne water, right? From Wasco. These people don't have water from Wasco. In 2025.
And it's not because you'll have a shortage of water.
And it's not because we have a shortage of water. Yeah. When you look at areas like in Augene, in certain areas of Palm, Fort Charlie, some of these areas have no potable water. Yet, the residents of the South are paying a dam dredging fee. And we're paying that fee, but all of our residents cannot have water.
But you all have promised, when I say you all, the UWP team, has promised that you all will get rid of that dam fee.
Exactly, exactly. So that's why I'm excited. I'm excited about the dam fee. Yeah. You know, we were getting rid of that. I am excited that children, our parents, you know, school has just reopened this month, and we would be surprised to know that there are parents who couldn't send their children back to school in 2025, couldn't afford school pants, school bags for their children. So just imagine at secondary school, you're having such a difficulty, much less tertiary level education. And so I'm excited about the fees being exempt for all students wanting to attend Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. Right. I'm excited for that. I came from an era where when we left secondary school, not all of us had the opportunity because there was only one tertiary level education institute, and that was up north. So you had, no matter what school you went to, you had to go to Sir Arthur Lewis Community College up north. There was no sixth form in the South. Now we have a sixth form in the South, so you have that and you have other but even then, not every child had that opportunity because they could not afford the fees. So a lot of my classmates ended up having to take that dreaded gap year because they would have had to go work for a year to be able to save up the fees to go to school. So no longer would students have to take that gap year if they didn't want to. So now it's going to be something of a choice to take that gap year and not a necessity because you couldn't afford it. So I'm quite excited about that. I'm excited about like I told you earlier, my grandparents were farmers. And I'm excited about the farmers being able to get a pension. So the farmers of Labrie, from Olibo, Maganye, Auger, Lagoas, Bus, all those areas, those persons who were farmers who did not contribute to NIC would now have a pension. So I'm excited for those those little nuggets. And I'm also excited to getting rid of that dreaded 2.5%. That was a lie that was fed to us, and the gall of the Prime Minister to say that because we didn't say anything, we didn't say get rid of it, that we were acquiescing. I mean, who does the Prime Minister think he is to tell us that? Because we're not like, nous pas qu'on say Jean Babad, nous pas qu'on Jamaïque, nous pas qu'on Jean Trinidad. You know, we don't always raise a fuss and march and behave bad. We don't do that.
No, but in the first place, he came with the disguise, the deceit that it was meant for health and security. And
that's correct.
Under him, health and security
has been exactly, it has been the worst that it has ever been. And this is not our party saying this. These are the subject matter experts saying that. So he cannot come and say that because we didn't say, oh, that 2.5, but you told us it was for security and health. And we knew that healthcare was in a deplorable condition. And we knew that violence had escalated to the point that we would have accepted just about anything to help allay that situation. So only to find out that it was to get a loan. It was a prerequisite for a loan. I mean,
and I'm sorry to.
And you say you're putting the people first.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. The statistics that I have show that security has gotten worse. And the letter that I read from the Medical and Dental Association said that health didn't just get worse, but the worst that it had ever been in history. But then they're building the St. Jude's Hospital for y'all in the south. Are you excited about it?
No, I'm not excited about that.
You know.
I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about it. I'm excited. I would have been excited if we were getting a hospital, this hospital that we're getting now, if we would have gotten it 16 years ago. I would have been excited for it then. Why? Because it meant that we would have gotten a hospital, any hospital, in a timely fashion. We didn't get it then. We're getting it now when there are other options on the table. I wonder the lifespan of this 85-year-old building. How long will it be able to meet our needs? And I wonder even if we're still going to get that hospital, because from word on the ground is we're not getting that hospital.
Well,
what on the ground is, Spider, that hospital, and I got it on good grounds, so if I lie after my grounds, that the hospital is infested with bats, right? And the feces from bats is very toxic to human beings. This is a place where we're going to convalesce. This is a place where we're going to get better. This is not a spa. It's not an option. It is where we go when we're sick to get better. Right now, we're in a situation where we're competing with cows and dogs and cattle and goats and sheep and all sorts of animals. And you're telling us we're going to leave that and we're going to go into a situation where we don't know what's looking in the walls. You're telling us, you're taking us from a bad situation and you're bringing us into a worse situation, because don't forget the hospital was destroyed by fire. We don't know if it's because of the electrical, but word on the ground is the electrical at this institution, at the 85-year-old building, is not up to par. So you're going to take people and put them yet again in harm's way. How many lives must we lose before we say, no, we're going to do something that is representative of the people? And, you know, anybody, anywhere in the world could be happy.
I don't want to compound the situation, but to make it sound even worse. But I am told that the state-of-the-art hospital that was being constructed by the United Workers' Party that would have been completed within 18 months, and that's by their assessment, within 18 months.
And we passed 18 months.
That'll be years ago. That the material used is, I don't know the term that you use, but let me use a layman's term, was mold-free or mold-proof, so to speak, if there's any such thing. Whereas the 80-year-old building, that's not the case. And in a hospital, you would appreciate the need to have those kinds of, those kinds of protections for patients.
Let me bring it even closer home for me. When I left St. Lucia and I went to Canada, I never knew what it was to have asthma. But I found myself in a situation where, unbeknownst to me and my situation, my family, the room that I occupied had mold. And so one day I was going up the stairs and and so my aunt said to me, "What's wrong with you?" And I said to her, "I don't know, it's just of late, I find my breathing is a little bit more labored. Anytime I come from downstairs and I go upstairs, I feel, and once I stay upstairs for a while, I feel my breathing get back. Go and get checked." I had asthma, and it was because of mold. So we searched for mold, and we found the mold. I need to say no more. So you just imagine you're in a room enclosed, you cannot move, and you're breathing in the spores of mold.
Well, we know of
and sometimes mold it could be so sneaky, it could be hidden and you don't see it unless you're looking for it, like I had to look for it. So I say this to say, even when you are, you have your best interest at heart, you can put yourself in harm, much less being in a situation where you cannot help yourself and somebody else is putting you in harm's way.
Because, you know, like anything else we know of late, that is something that's prevalent in St. Lucia, mold infestation, even in newer buildings. But if that one was being specially designed to combat that possibility, then, you know, it will be welcome. I must say, among the things that appeal to me is that there's a helipad, there will be a helipad on that.
Absolutely.
And that makes a big difference, since if you have to, if for some reason airlift someone to Castries or to Martinique or something like that, or from an accident scene, you know, these are the things, and I think the Labour Party is saying this to you all in the South, you all don't deserve that.
Let me tell you, nothing, to have those experiences for yourself, you really begin to understand what you're being denied. So earlier I would have told you that my parents had 4 children, but my father had a 5th child. My father's first son was a boy, and he's now deceased. And when my brother first found out that he was ill, and there was nothing they could have done for him in St. Lucia, he had to be airlifted to Martinique. Thank God he was in Castries at the time and living not too far. So he could have been, that was, you know, easy. Can you just imagine if it was one of the other 4 who lived in Labrie and one of us had to be airlifted. And so I pray every day that we do not have those kinds of emergencies which could really bring it home to us, because we must remember that in the South, we have the international airport.
That's correct.
Heaven forbid anything, any incident of international proportions happens and we have to airlift people out. Heaven forbid the fallout that would occur. We don't seem to think. We look at the tip of our noses, and for me it's kind of difficult because my nose is short, but we look at the tip of our noses instead of looking down the road, the things that could impact us, you know. And those of us in the South, I'm talking about Labrie, I'm talking about Vieux Fort North, I'm talking about Schwartz, I'm talking about anything that happens in Vieux Fort South affects us. This is the closest town that we have. So when we can't find work in our constituencies, we have to go to Vieux Fort South for that. We have to get health care. Can you imagine your mother having to dialyze several times a week? Your loved one, your mother, your father, your child, and having to go all the way to Castries. You know, so these things are very important to us. And I want our constituents, regardless of which district you're from, to remember these things affect all of us. There's a little something called evolution. It cannot be that in 2025 and beyond, we're looking to an 85-year-old building as our saving grace in healthcare. And I also say all the time, buildings don't kill people, people kill people. Negligent people kill people, careless people kill people. our government is being negligent and careless, and it's costing people lives.
Okay. But I think it will remiss of me not to allow you to speak of Labrie in particular, because I'm sure the people of Labrie, you having offered yourself as a candidate, are out there listening and hoping and waiting to hear what are your plans for Labrie. So can we talk of your constituency, Labrie, for a moment?
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about Labrie and OG, and I have to say OG because the OG people, they don't care if the district is called Labrie. It's Labrie on OG. Yeah. So, you know, and now the people of Banks and Laguas and Lao and Majamel and all those places, they want me to mention them by name, but would stay here for the rest of the night if we had to do that. But there is so much needed in the district. We have been represented by the St. Lucia Labour Party for over 51 years, for over 50 years. And somebody once said to me, if Columbus had to come back to St. Lucia, Labrie would be the only place they would recognize. That's how static things have remained. And it's true. When we look at some of the roads, and my husband always tells me, you know, if you say as a politician, you're going to fix roads and that is going to be your fame to claim, I'm going to knock you out. Because it's like having a father say, I have children, and you know what? This year, this term, I was able to give them all their school books and all their school uniforms and all of their needs for school. It's your responsibility. True. This is your job. So what I want for the constituents go beyond that. Goes beyond that. I want to look at the young people. I had the fortune of one day I was going somewhere and I was waiting for someone, and while I was waiting for that person, a young man ran across the street and came to me and said, Miss, when you coming to see us? I said, when do you want me to come to see you? He said, you can come and see us anytime. I said, where do you want me to come and see? He said, come and see us on the playing field. So I came to the playing field. I was running a bit late, so I got there at dusk. And there were these young men who were training to represent our constituency, training in the dark. The field is not graded properly, you know, have bumps, but they were able to demarcate an area on the field, and this is where they were practicing. And I said, but what happened to the lights? I call them the Lawas lights. These lights have never been turned on. There are lights on our field. These lights have never been turned on. But when you take a closer look at the lights, Spider, for the size of the field, these lights are woefully inadequate. When I look at some of the other smaller fields and the lights that are on those fields to light up that small expanse of field, of the area, it's way more than what we have at what we used to call the Crossover Park, which is now the Desmond Collingwood Park. Way inadequate. Yet, at least if it would come on, it would be something that these kids, these young men, could play, they could practice after work. So they rush home from work, they leave work at 5, they rush home to get to the field for 5:30, and by 6:30, they have to stop. The last time I went there, they were searching for 2 balls that had gotten lost because they were playing, they were training, and the balls rolled off, and they couldn't find them because there's no lights. I mean, this is what, in an era where we have Jada Emmanuel, if you remember young Jada, right? We have, I'm having a brain freeze here. Help me, the young lady from Cicerone. Julian Alfred, we have Julian Alfred, and so many others. London. You know, you would have, Naomi London, you would have thought that with Darren Sammy having, and Laverne Spencer having made waves, we would do every and anything because we know young people left idle, they'll get into trouble. We say we care about the people, we're putting the people first, but we're putting our young people last, and we're putting them at risk.
But then it take your representative, Alva Baptiste, to come and lay claim to Julian Alfred. Like it's the Labour Party that is responsible for her successes, you know.
How is he taking you know, because at the end of the day, I really don't care who made Julian Alfred. as far as I see, this is a young lady who knew what she wanted and worked towards getting that. All right? And she's making us proud. The least we could do is to put measures in place. And I intend to put measures in place so that we have more Jada Emanuels. You know how you see how fast I forgot Julian Alfred? Because I'm focused on our constituency. I'm focused on that.
And by the way, let me just do something I think that has been remiss of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Julian Alfred went out last year and won a gold and a silver at the Olympics, and we all were jubilant and, you know, gave her all the adulation and so on. Julian Alfred went out there and won a bronze medal in the 100 meters in the World Championship. And Lo St. Lucian has given her the praise that
That's
she
correct.
the accolade, because it's like people are disappointed, like she has to win gold every time.
She has to win gold all the time.
But that is a great achievement, you know, an accomplishment that no other St. Lucian
A
has
year
achieved
ago,
before.
where were we?
You know,
You know,
exactly.
and those are some of the things that we have to remember. In Labrie, we have a fantastic budding village tourism product. So we have a lot of Airbnbs. I think per capita, maybe Labrie has the most Airbnbs, I'd like to think. But once the people
More
come
than
here,
Choiseul?
I think more than Choiseul.
okay.
And Choiseul is huge, but I'm thinking per capita.
Yeah.
Once the people come into Labrie, they don't spend their money outside of their lodgings. They don't spend monies in Labrie because what do we have that would keep them coming back? Like, I'm fortunate to be in that industry and to have clients coming back because I make it do what it do, like the young people would say, you know. I put my effort into making sure that they see the country, they see the island, that they're happy where they are, that they're comfortable, that they feel at home. But pretty soon they won't be coming back. And you know it's twice as difficult to get new clients.
That's right.
Right? Than to maintain the ones that you have. So what do we have? So I would like to see cultural and eco adventures. Simple bike trails, bird watching tours, walking tours, simple things. A lot of people come to constituencies like Labrie simply for the rest and relaxation. But there are times they want to get out, they want to do something. We have one of the loveliest beach fronts. But with climate change, that is quickly being eroded, and we're not doing anything about it. There's no enhancements. Can you imagine where you can walk along one side of Labrie, one end of Labrie to the other, and at any point you can sit down and have a cup of, have a cold drink at a cafe, watch the sunset, maybe hear some musicians, and we have some wonderful musicians in Labrie. So much to do in Labrie. We could have a themed village space where you can walk in, and because Labrie is kind of old school, you know. Have the infrastructure in place that businesses, particularly maybe old businesses and young businesses, any business, get grant funding and marketing assistance to allow Labrie to thrive. And when I say Labrie, I'm talking about Labrie, Auger, Banz, you know. Even with agriculture, we have so much fruit, so much, you know, just being wasted, falling and just being wasted. We could have, harvest that. Maybe perhaps have an association where we have a fresh juice factory. We have all of the factories that we had in Viewfort are now closed. Why? Because the St. Lucia Labour Party under Kenny Anthony decided that these people weren't paying taxes, and so they had to pay taxes, and so all of them closed down and left. But these factories, do you know, last week I was speaking to a young lady who said every summer of the 5 years that she spent at secondary school, she looked forward to summer vacation because she knew going back into school in September, her parents would have one child less to worry about, because she would go to the factories and work during the summer and save a little money, because maybe the shoe they would give her, she wouldn't want that, so she would put the extra to get the shoe that she wanted, the bag that she wanted, or to ensure that she got all her school books and all of that. Those factories, yeah, maybe the salaries weren't all that great, but they ensured that the single moms were able to, instead of asking for a handout, were able to take care of their children. And their children would be able to work in the summer, all of those things. I would like to see a resurgence of that, because if Viewfort South thrives, it means that Labrie thrives. The buses would be able to have more work because they have people going to and from work. It's just so much that we could choose, we could have done in Labrie. I don't want to be too specific because I'll tell you something. I was going about in Auger, and then there were these young ladies, about 5 of them in one area. And they said, oh, we wanted to see you. I said, you wanted to see me? Here I am. I sat with them. And they said, you're the lady who's building the road. I said, I'm the lady building the road? I said, no, I think you have a mistake. She said, no, you're the lady building the road at Desbois. I said, no, I'm not. She said, I said, you're the lady building the road. Because if you had not spoken about that Desbois road and how bad it was and how your car ditched and all of that, that road would not have been fixed today. So thank you for building the road at Desbois. I was shocked.
So it means you're getting things done even before.
Getting things done even before getting into.
But that's quite a lot you spoke of. But let me just say this. I mean, I mean, you're one of 3 ladies in the United Workers' Party lineup. How many ladies does I think the SLP has 3 ladies as well?
I think they have 3 as well. Lisa, they have Harak Singh, and they have Emma, because they got rid of Virginia.
Right, so you have 3-3 on either side. I mean, not exactly a proportional representation from in terms of a gender sense. But you know what I find? I mean, you said that you expected the politics to be a little more hostile in terms of.
I expected that. Yeah. But
I am not advocating that people be personal about the politics and so on. I think it's more important to do what you're doing here right now, talking about what you plan to do for Labrie, what you think the South should get, what your party is doing and all of that. I think that's the way to go and so on. However, there are certain aspects that are important because you as an individual, whether you're a man or woman, character plays a big role, and people, if you're offering yourself to serve, people have to question your character. Now, I bring this up because there is this young lady from Lisa Joaillier, who is a thing. I want to bring up a matter that has come up and to get your opinion in the end about it. There is talk that she has been in a situation where she had like a partner co-sign a student loan for her, and that she has abdicated on the responsibility of making the repayments, so much so that she has never made any payments, and that the individual is now saddled with the responsibility of paying the loan, especially since he's a U.S. citizen. That loan was taken in the U.S. He doesn't want his credit to go haywire and so on. And, that has come to the fore since she's now offering herself as a candidate. Now, some people, in fact, the Labour Party, not only some people, the Labour Party came to her defense and saying that's a personal matter. Now, to me, if you, Laura, in your private life has a situation like this, that's your private matter. I couldn't be bothered. I'm not interested unless I'm the one saddled with your loan. But when you are offering yourself for public life, we have to judge your character. We have to judge your integrity. We have to look at how credible you are as an individual. Now, if that is true, and I do not know whether or not it is, although I saw a letter that was written.
Purporting to be.
If that is true, or whether or not that is true, she owes it to the general public to come out and explain to us if it is true, what is the actual situation, if it is not, to debunk it. Because that goes to an individual's character. Character is important in politics because these are people who will be making decisions. Or let me say, you all are people who will be making decisions for our lives. You'll be handling the country's purse, And so, what is your view on that?
I think that we all have a past. I think that in life, things happen. I think that you may want certain things, you have intentions for certain things, but things happen, and sometimes we find ourselves in a difficult situation. Having found ourselves in that situation, I think it's incumbent upon us, whomever is involved, to fix it, to show good faith.
Right.
So you took a loan, and the intent of that is that the loan had to be repaid. Somebody, because you know that somebody co-signed. If you default, that person. So you have to show some sort of goodwill. Maybe her circumstance changed. She was unable to pay, although the person is saying that she's never made up one payment. So that's kind of, that's a tough pill to swallow. But I do think, as you said, Spire, that now that it is in the public domain, I think we don't, she doesn't owe us to tell us her private business. But now that it's in the public domain and it has to do with trust.
That's a big issue. Yes.
Trust. If it were that she defaulted on her loan and it was just herself, she defaulted. It has happened, I'm sure. Kenny Anthony would tell you maybe when he was a younger man that he may have defaulted on a loan or two. Who hasn't? But when somebody else is expecting you to come through and you show no sign, you owe it, because it's a matter of trust. It's a matter of integrity.
And if there's an issue, if there's a problem, you owe it to the person to get back to them to discuss the matter.
To get back to them
and to discuss. There should be some communication on your part.
But you must show that you are willing
but you know what
to
I find,
honor your commitment.
What I find very disappointing, Laura, is rather than deal with the issue, the Labour Party mouthpieces, like Yadi, you know, has descended to the level of the guy is making that claim because he is no longer able to sleep with her anymore, and you know, that kind of thing.
And I'll tell you something.
I think for her own good, she should speak to her camp and tell them they're not doing her any justice.
Absolutely, because when I heard that, I was so thoroughly disgusted. I was thoroughly disgusted. And if what
because,
the,
I mean,
if
to put it crudely, I mean, you would know by now that I'm not the most diplomatic person. To put it crudely, in effect, what he's saying is bomb she made with the guy. But that's what he's suggesting. If he's saying like,
I wouldn't put it that way.
Because he slept with her and so on.
But I wouldn't put it that way. But it would seem that this is what he's saying. That is how he's putting it. But I do think she needs to have a word with her camp, because you are right. They're not doing her any justice. They're not doing. It's not coming across good. The optics is not good at all. This is not somebody, if what the guy is saying is so, the lawyer is saying is so, this is not just any ordinary person. This is somebody who intended to spend the rest of his life with her. And so, again, trust and faith and integrity comes in there. We need to know that we can trust. Like I said, things happen. I'm not knocking that. Things happen. People fall into financial need all the time. But it's how you handle it, and you must be able to show some level of goodwill. I think I cannot stress that enough. It's a level of goodwill. You make a couple of payments and something happened, you could not. And somebody can say, okay, oh, well, she tried, but something came up. What has she done you know? It's just in poor taste. And it's coming at a horrible time for her.
But you see, some people are making out to be like, because she's a woman and so on. That has nothing to do with gender.
No, it has nothing to do with gender, actually.
Principles, it has to do with integrity, it has to do with character. And so I believe both the party, who is supposed, and I'm holding your party responsible for that, they're supposed to scrutinize you, you know, and do their due diligence on you before they present you to us, the electorate. And you, as an individual, presenting yourself, I think you ought to be forthright with the electorate and let them know exactly what it is, so that we do not have to speculate like the Prime Minister likes to ask the electorate in St. Lucia to do, just go ahead and speculate.
I think you're quite right. I think due diligence needed to be done, to have been done, and Lisa herself should have known that there were certain things that would have come back out of her closet. However, what we're doing there is mere speculation, because we do not even know
I'm not speculating that there's a letter out there. That's not speculation. There is a letter out there.
Well, there is a letter saying something, but we do not know if what the person is claiming is so.
Forget whether or not it is true. She owes it to the electorate of St. Lucia to come out and clear the air on it.
Yes, it's true or it's not.
I'm not making any judgment.
Yes.
I'm just saying she owes it to us. Because you see, that's the thing. You have Kenson Kazimi, who has apparently accumulated untold wealth in the last 3 years or 4 years. Okay? It has raised suspicion. The public has a right to know that there is nothing untoward, that you have done nothing inappropriate to acquire those. Explain to them, and that is why you, Laura, upon becoming elected, you have to declare your assets to the Integrity Commission.
Absolutely.
Because we want to know that there is no room for speculation or doubt or suspicion that what you have, you've earned. Now you, Laura, are going to say, well, you get that nice dress, or am I Airbnb, or my other company, because I know a minister's salary cannot buy that. You understand? You owe it to us to explain it.
Exactly. I quite agree. I quite agree. I think too many times people come in and they have unexplainable wealth, particularly people who are in the public domain, under public scrutiny, politically exposed people who are coming in touch with the people's wealth. It's not our wealth, it's the people's wealth. And then the people are getting poorer and they are getting richer.
And
questions will be asked.
And these are the perceptions we must guard against. And as a young incoming politician, I brought it up deliberately because I'm seeing, that doesn't speak well for the younger generation politicians on the Labour Party side, where you have Kenson Kazimi, who has that cloud over his head. Now Joai, Lisa Joai, who has that cloud over her head, and so on. And they refuse to clear it.
And I'll tell you something else, especially coming in an era where people are so disenchanted, people are so apathetic about politicians and politics, where just this morning, my husband was complaining how he dislikes hearing people say, oh, you just can't wait in other words, politicians are only coming in to see what they can get. And so when you have a cloud, especially hanging over young politicians' heads, it doesn't augur well for anyone on either side, any of us.
But Laura, the politicians are chiefly responsible for that perception of politicians. And I will go as far as to say, especially the Labour Party politicians. Look at the things the Labour Party has said about Guy Joseph.
With no proof.
When Kenson was coming in, he had all kinds of allegations to make about me. Albeit when they made the allegations, I explained my position because, well, right now I don't owe anybody an explanation. But at the time, even now I think I still owe an explanation, the fact that I served before. But at the time I didn't like it, but I explained, knowing that I've not done anything to it, but it is the public's right to know. And I had to explain, and he is now refusing to explain. He is now refusing to explain. But, I am hoping as the campaign unfolds that these people do not get away with that, because these are the standards we must set in our politics to ensure that we keep the perception of propriety in St. Lucian politics.
I quite agree.
Now, we don't have much time left, but we can probably get a couple of callers.
Sure,
I almost forgot. I almost forgot that.
The conversation is nice.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the numbers so I can. Yes, I have found it. For our viewers and listeners, I'm sorry to keep you out of the loop, but the discussion was so interesting. I'm sure you gained a lot from Laura, and I will give you an opportunity if you have any questions specifically for her. The numbers, landline is 4500777. Again, 4500777. And our WhatsApp number is 284-3499. As you know the rules, you keep it courteous. You have to be polite to my guests. And do not try to usurp my program. I am the host, not you. So, like it is, that's your opportunity for you to call in and tell it like it is. And while we're waiting the first caller, I just want to ask you, in terms of, do you hazard predictions on elections?
I do. I'm usually right on the button, but I won't hazard. I won't hazard out there.
Okay.
But I do, and I'm usually very, very correct. I'm usually very correct.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me be a little more technical and ask you a question to get what do you think are your chances in Labrie?
I think my chances are excellent. I think that for 20 years, we have been represented by the same individual, and I think the constituency has become stagnant. I think we have been represented by the same party for over 50 years, and even past representatives have said that they have to be begging. It's time for change.
Okay. Okay, we have our first caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Like It Is. Please go ahead and make a contribution. Tell it like it is.
Thank you very much, Spider. This is Alan Chastney.
Oh.
Good evening to you, Laura.
Welcome to Like It Is.
Thank you very much. I think that a couple things I'd like to bring up. You were having a discussion about Lisa Joyner and her particular situation.
Right.
And I think that there's an element of all of this that everybody seems to be not understanding.
Okay.
This was a situation in which the gentleman endorsed the loan for her. That means that she would have gone to the bank, obtained the loan, and he gave the assurance that if she failed to pay the loan, he would pay it. And clearly what has happened, based on the letter that we saw, is that she walked away from that obligation.
Right.
Which makes it even worse. So forget about whatever relationship you have.
Right.
You know, we've all been in a situation where somebody is in
We
need
need
of
someone to
support or
we need
something,
help, yeah.
and we will send a letter to endorse it. And the bank, if you don't pay, then the bank is going to hold you responsible for that payment.
Correct.
So imagine after doing that and walks away, how much it would have taken for him to have now filed the letter with the lawyer to get a response. And he couldn't even get her to respond, even though it clearly is that it was an obligation that she undertook. And he only helped facilitate her getting the loan. Now, we had a similar situation when Ernest Hilaire was involved in the Jufali matter. And you remember that when we found out after the fact what he had done as the High Commissioner in facilitating the appointment of Jufali, I wrote a letter and I said that we must question his integrity. And he took me to court over that issue. But we've now found out that it may have been something what people consider to be small at the time. But I think it speaks volumes about his character, because we see that he has lacked integrity when it came to his Range Rover. He's lacked integrity when it comes to the CIP. He's lacked integrity when it has come to GPH. And clearly he has lacked a significant amount of integrity when it comes to the situation that recently happened with the reporter, where he said to everybody he never pushed her. Then all of a sudden when the video comes out that he pushed her, he now is saying, well, if she felt offended, he'd been happy to give an apology. So I don't want people to take this situation with Lisa lightly. This is a significant character flaw, and one that is a red flag, no pun intended, that people should be cognizant of in electing someone. The other thing I want to share with you is that, you know, I listened to the former Prime Minister, Kenny Anthony, in his speech. And I think that the days of him getting on like a school teacher, remember he threatened Osbert D'Auvergne. How many people has he threatened? He threatened Richard Frederick. He's threatened me how many amounts of times? And that's just what his style is, to come out and make a threat. But I would have hoped that when he came out to speak, that he would have apologized to the people of the South. After representing them for over 30 years and not being able to deliver anything. I don't think there's anything that you can point to that you can say that he delivered to the people in the South. And in fact, he's been an obstacle, an obstructionist to development in the South. When it came to the DSH project, when it came to HIA, when it comes to St. Jude's, when it comes to the cruise ship berth, he has been an obstructionist and a person that has prevented any form of progress. And in apologizing, then presenting a young man that he thought could make a change. But this young guy decided that he was going to follow
in the
same line as Kenny Anthony, the same development plans that have never manifested themselves and are passé. And I really hope that the people in the South would have been cognizant of what has taken place, and to see the utter neglect that has happened in the South, the embarrassment the Labour Party has been. And I say that categorically with no apologies, because all of the evidence is there to show it. And that it is time for the people in the South to give the United Workers' Party an opportunity to really bring significant change to the South. We proved it during my administration, that our inauguration was in the South. Everything that we could do to bring attention to the South, we did. And we want to be able to start those plans in earnest. And I think that Cacao and Lady Lee and Laura are going to be significant drivers in that process. And I'm looking for the persons in the South to come on board. If you truly have given up on the Labour Party when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to national security, when it comes to cost of living, when it comes to unemployment, United Workers' Party has shown that it can be trusted in delivering on those things. And I'm looking forward to people to continue to see through the facade, the lies of the Labour Party. And individuals have only shown their own self-interest and not the interest of the people in the South. So thank you for the opportunity, and great job, Laura. And again, Spider, thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And bringing this message to the people.
And I wish you and the team, that formidable team that you have put together, the best of luck in the upcoming general election.
Well, I definitely think it's the right team. We need to right the wrong, and therefore you need a team that knows what is right. And I can tell you the 17 people that we've put together all have the capability and the capacity really to right the wrong in this country on very quick. And I'm very proud of the SOS program that we have in reducing the 2.5% or reducing the VAT by 2.5% versus I think the Labour Party is going to increase VAT by 2.5%. The free education at Sir Arthur, particularly the persons in the South not having to pay the dredging fee on their water bills, recognizing the farmers by making sure that they get their pension, putting in the border control to bring safety to people in the country, and making sure that there's no guns coming into our country. And if people want to argue, let them argue differently, but the access to guns is too easy in this country. You know, what do you say to a government that has had 3 consecutive years of over 70 murders and is well on their way of a 4th year? And nothing that they're doing is showing that there's going to be any abatement. The neglect that's taking place at the healthcare facilities of our country, not because of the staff, but because of a bad policy of universal healthcare versus instead of healthcare insurance. So I know we have a great set of people that are committed to this cause of rescuing St. Lucia, and I'm hoping Solutions will give us the opportunity to do it very soon.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. We unfortunately run out of time, but thanks for your intervention. And before we close, I just have a couple ads that I want to run. Can we have the first one, please, before I give Laura a minute to close?
I want to invite you to a special community meeting to take place tomorrow, 30th of September, in Sunbelt. We will be meeting at the Sunbelt bus stop, and we want to invite everybody from Cedars, from Upper Waterworks Road, and from Sunbelt to join us to hear about our really important plans and priorities for the country and for the constituency. See you there. Hey, Castries North, Stephen Faber again. I want to invite you to a special community meeting to take place tomorrow, 30th of September, in Sunbelt. We will be meeting at the Sunbelt bus stop, and we want to invite everybody from Cedars, from Upper Waterworks Road, and from Sunbelt to join us to hear about our really important plans and priorities for the country and for the constituency. See you there.
Okay, we are also looking at a meeting that will be taking place in Babonneau. I think this one will be on Wednesday evening. So you can join Titus Sprayville in Babonneau on Wednesday evening, where he will be having a meeting as well. Those of you from the Babonneau area in particular, you can join him. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for our announcements of meetings. I want to give you a minute, Laura. We are over time already, to just wrap up
Make it
quickly.
quick. Just as Titus, we would have had a meeting at Laho on the 1st of October. So just imagine this morning, I'm calling the gentleman to tell him we're on and to make the final arrangements. In spite to my surprise, the gentleman had just died minutes before. So I want to say to the family of Augustus, better known as Accord, that your family, United Workers' Party family, is thinking of you. Death comes like a thief in the night sometimes, and it hits us. This one really hit me really hard for a number of reasons. But we are there with you, and however we can assist, we will help out. Because this gentleman has just gone out to walk and came back home and collapsed. So you have no idea. We can only imagine what it's like for the family.
Yeah. May his soul rest in peace.
May his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
But for the wider constituency, the wider district, I just want to say that for 20 years we have been made promises, and those promises have not been fulfilled. And on the eve of an election, we see a number of works taking place in the constituency. I want the St. Lucia Labour Party to know that unlike Dr. Kenny Anthony, we will not be sitting by any riverside in Babylon and awaiting anybody to rescue us. We will take matters into our own hands. We will demand respect. And I want to say to the district, in me, you have a rep who is not going to put water in her mouth to sugarcoat anything to you. I will not be paying out bars to keep you drunk and mindless while I go about my daily work or my daily business, and my surrogates get the best while you get the crumbs. Whenever I dine, you dine. Whenever I drink, you drink. Whatever I have, you have. It is my commitment to you to ensure that maybe not you, but your children and your children's children will not be singing a sad song. That every opportunity that I was given as a young woman growing up, your children should have those exact same opportunities to go to school and to thrive in our community. Look out for me. I will be with you. I have done all of Auger, Labrie. I am here with you always. Bance, Lagras, Laho, Olibo, Baye, Majomel. I am coming to you. I know you've been asking for me. I am here, working behind the scenes, but listening to you, hearing you, and putting the plans together so that once you come through for us and you vote me in, once I get in, I start working from day one.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of Like It Is for tonight, this episode. I would like to thank all of you who joined us, whether by television, radio, live stream. I want to thank those a couple of people called in. And I want to say a special thank you to my guest, Laura. And ladies and gentlemen, please join the United Workers' Party tomorrow morning, Tuesday, for another press briefing. Join us on Thursday morning for Midday Opposition. And on Sunday, we will have an escalated Sunday Live in Grosile. So in the meantime, and of course, we have the meeting in Babonneau on Wednesday. And we have, as you heard from Stephen Fravery. We have a meeting in the Castries North constituency tomorrow. So stay tuned to the United Workers' Party. That is where we bring you the truth and we shine the light on the matters and issues that are of interest and concern to you. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week. Laura, thank you for being
Thank you for
on Like
having
It
me.
Is tonight.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can't take it any longer. Can't take it no more. The people feel so insecure. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our business. Our brothers and our sisters, they are being killed. We gotta tell it like it is, tell it like it is. We don't love how them a live, love how them a live. We gotta make it our
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, guests, and callers are solely their opinions and responsibility. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Hot 7 TV or its affiliates.
Hot 7 TV is the rising star of television in St. Lucia with our stunning 100% HD quality, fresh exciting programming.